Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Cinemondo.
That was a very dynamic intro.
One, two,
There's an extra
three,
person in here.
Yes,
Did somebody leave the door unlocked?
Yes.
Who is our guest?
Our guest is Caryn Coleman. Very excited to have Caryn with us. She is the founder and film programmer of The Future of Film is Female, and she's coming to us from New York City. Hi, Caryn.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
We've known Caryn a long time.
A long time. I was thinking yesterday, I think we've known each other for like 20 years, but I was thinking of like all the movies we've seen when I lived in LA together, and it was just like Snakes on a Plane, Grindhouse, There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
So how do you three know each other? I'm the odd person out here. So tell us the kind of story.
Odd. You are very odd.
Oh, I know that.
Well, let's explain who Caryn is real quick before we give our history. So she is the founder of Future of Film is Female.
Right.
Dog owner.
Zucchini has a lot to say.
Zucchini's like, don't say it wrong. No, she's the founder of a very cool organization. The Future of Film is Female, and it's excellent, perfect timing because hell yes, the future of film is female. But we've known Caryn through some other iterations. She was owner of an art gallery in LA, which is massive because art galleries in LA are very difficult.
Yes. Hold on, I'm gonna let my dog out. I think that'll help.
Or let her on your lap. Let's see her.
Oh, you won't be able to handle how cute she is.
Oh, I won't handle.
When I think that like I owned an art gallery, I'm like, what was I thinking? That was so crazy. But that's how we know each other. I worked with Kathy's husband, Chad Robertson.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
so of course I met Kathy, and then of course I met Burke and Saul, and we did a lot of stuff with like West Memphis 3, and then we're really good frids during the LA chapter of my life.
Bonded over
we
horror
did a
films.
really big benefit at the gallery for the West Memphis 3 thing. That was a
huge benefit
Yeah.
there.
an event.
I still have Winona Ryder's shawl that she left there.
Oh,
Really? That's really funny. Oh my god. Yeah, that was a great event. I was very impressed by that. The only thing we were missing was enough bathrooms, but other than that, it was awesome.
oh yeah.
Story of my life. We're doing this event, but we don't have enough bathrooms.
So, Caryn, how did you go from being a owner of a film gallery to maybe
Art
moving to
gallery.
New York, gallery, and then starting and getting involved in film programming and festivals and film in general?
Well, I had a midlife crisis when I turned 30, and and I moved to London to go to graduate school. And one of the motivating factors of that was that, the conversations I was having about art weren't really fulfilling or what I wanted to pursue. I didn't really want to talk about, where did this person go to school? How much is this worth? Do you want to buy this? I wanted to talk about context and why it's important and all of that stuff. So when I was at Goldsmiths in the UK, obviously we just talked about how we saw movies together for so long. Like I loved seeing movies in Los Angeles, and I never wanted to kind of work in movies because I didn't want to ruin it, because it was really my escape from stressfully owning my own business. And so I just sort of lived at the BFI when I was in London, and not to bore you too much with my graduate school, but it was very like independent focused. And so very quickly my work became art and film integrated in together. So my final thesis project was exploring the relationship between horror film and contemporary artists. And then my husband got a job offer to come to New York. I never wanted to live in New York. It was not my thing. But we were like, hey, this is the first time we can do this as adult. We can move to New York as adults. People are going to pay for us to move. That's great. And I lived here for a couple months, and then I met this woman at a bar And,
Well, that story took a turn.
and now we're together forever. No, and she said, "Oh, I work at a cinema here in Williamsburg." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what are you talking about? I didn't know this happened." She's like, "Yeah, we just opened 3 weeks ago." And so that's how I got introduced to Nighthawk Cinema. And they were 3 weeks old. They just turned 10, and I worked with them on everything, kind of growing their work. And I had a chance to kind of apply the work that I'd been doing and curating into film programming. And I love it so much more. It's a very different experience because like when you program something in a movie theater, it's like people paid to sit here and watch this,
Yeah.
you know, and they kind of have to, but like with an art gallery, it's like people kind of come in, they leave, you know, it's a whole different sort of process.
How was the original programming of the like what Nighthawk, were they specifically going for a certain type of film, or was that sort of your call, like I can kind of do what I want, or what was
that's
strategy?
When they first opened, they were just doing first runs, and you know that can kind of be enough, but you have to find your audience. And so Nighthawk was a really wonderful place because there were at any time 2 to 4 programmers, and we all sort of had varied taste. But there is a lot of like genre programming there, so we did work on that a lot. Like real midnight movies. The first thing I ever screened there was a 35 millimeter print of Bob Clark's Death Wish.
I was so scared.
And it sold out.
You found the audience.
It was really, really amazing. So, you know, that was kind of the roots there. But there's a huge audience for that in New York.
Yeah.
Did you ever show Spider Baby?
Yes, we have shown Spider Baby.
I thought so. I remember us talking about that, and I live now in a neighborhood that's very close to the Spider Baby house.
No way.
Yeah, it's still there,
that.
and it still looks kind of the same, but it's in a neighborhood. You know, in the film,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem, you know, it seems kind of remote and everything, but here it's just it's just a house in a neighborhood.
Hold on a second. My dog is chewing on something.
Oh my God.
Oh, well, it's kind of related. She's chewing on a business card. So when I went to Tallahassee, I tumbled upon Cap City Video Lounge, which is Tallahassee's only video rental place that still works. And it was like walking into, you know, my home. There was like a Wicker Man poster and a life-size Gizmo. And in the back, they had this like 40-seat theater that had like a Leatherface doll and 2 skeletons. And I was like, this is amazing. So that's what my dog was chewing.
I think a friend of ours, a guy we've had on as a guest a bunch of times, my friend Mark Maddox, he lives in Tallahassee, and he's an artist, does DVD covers and things. He's a really great artist, like a genre artist. And I went to high school with him, and he does some presentations at that place, I think. Like they introduce movies and things.
Yeah, that makes sense because they were showing, because I obviously I was like, hi. And he said that they were showing Return of the Living Dead that night. And then they were going to be doing a whole like water creature feature because, you know, Creature from the Black Lagoon was filmed in McCullough Springs.
Humanoids from the Deep.
Yes. It's there. Florida's weird.
That's so cool.
That's where I grew up. You know, I grew up in Tallahassee, and it was, you know, there were a few of us there that were looking for that stuff.
Well, it's sort of there. I mean,
yeah.
Now amongst everything else. Yeah.
Now that you guys are talking about Tallahassee, talk about your connection.
Oh, yeah. I think perhaps literally the weirdest coincidence of my life was many years ago. We were over at Caryn's house when she lived in LA, and I kept, you know, she owns an art gallery, so she has art in her house. So I'm kind of just looking around at the art, and there's one little painting. And I was like, God, that looks really familiar, the style of that. And I was like, and you know, I got up and I went over and I looked at it. It was a little thing, and I looked at it, and it was like, my dad painted this. She had, for some reason, a painting that my father had done in the 70s. And there it is.
And you didn't know each other in Tallahassee. This is completely,
we didn't know each other
like
in Tallahassee, and we had only at that time only known each other for not that long.
That was so weird.
And did you say you made the frame?
I probably built that frame.
Yeah.
If it's got, does it have black paper on the back?
It doesn't. It just, but I mean, it may have. It just has that.
Oh,
okay.
It came off.
But yeah,
those little diamond point things we used to use, and
This was my mom's. I grew up with this in the house. It was like I think her wedding present from her first marriage, and I grew up with this. And then for some reason, she let me take it.
It's just meant to be.
She's done with it.
It's,
You take it.
I mean, I guess, yeah. But yeah,
that is crazy.
It now lives in my room.
But the signature on there, my dad and I used to joke about. That was when he would do a small painting like that. He would do his signature, which was like S ... line ...
Yeah.
which was SAULS.
So trippy.
Yeah, it's weird.
That is one of the weirder coincidences in my life too. Of being like, I called my mom and I was like, so my friend's dad made that painting that is like, to me, ubiquitous with like you in your room and all that stuff.
And he wasn't.
And Caryn, did you
sell his stuff all the time? It's not like he was selling it constantly. In fact, I don't remember him ever selling things. It's weird.
It would be an interesting story how that got from, Burke's dad's, his studio to your mom's house, to your house where you grew up. Did you grow up in Chicago, did you say? Or
No, I grew up in Florida.
Oh, you grew up in Florida. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I grew up in Southwest Florida. So my mom is from Tallahassee and then now actually lives there again.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes a little more sense.
So yeah,
I have a feeling they probably knew each other to some degree, and he probably gave it, or
I think she got it as a wedding present from one of her guests.
Right.
So I think that must have been. My dog is like ripping apart something in my room.
So you hear this big tearing sound. She's a demon.
Yeah.
She's so great, except for stuff like that. You're like, come on.
That's when the puppy comes out.
Yes. Yeah, you're not paying attention to her.
Bring my boy in here.
Caryn, going back to Nighthawk. So that's in Greenpoint part of Brooklyn, which is very, at least when I lived there, was a real funky part of town, and so it kind of would lend itself to that kind of theater, I would think, showing repertory stuff and especially like midnight films. Seems like a perfect neighborhood for it.
I mean, it's totally different now.
Okay.
It's in Williamsburg, but it's totally different. But some of my colleagues would do regular screenings with Bill Lustig, and he would just be like, "Well, back when Bob Foster and I would do things, it's like this street you would walk on it, or like the why am I blanking on the movie that's filmed in Greenpoint where they give homeless people the drink and they."
The Stuff.
Chud?
No.
Now we've thrown you off.
It's not The Stuff.
Street trash. Yeah. And then there was some of those car chase scenes in McCarran Park where it was just all like whatever. It's changed a lot since I've been here in 10 years. The walk from Greenpoint to Williamsburg used to be like, and now it's like soccer fields and kids and the Jamaican restaurant. Yeah.
Well, it's so close to Manhattan. So anyway, it sounds like a perfect place to have that kind of theater.
Yeah, but yes, and it there's like a hunger for the genre programming, especially on like 35 millimeter here, as that there is in LA too with like New Beverly. It's
American Cinematheque out here.
Yeah.
Well, and also we have they renovated the Legion. And that's the Legion Theater, but they created this whole theater. It's only going to be film. It's only going to be, screenings of, films you can get on film. So it's like, I love that idea. Like, and they have a drive-in and an indoor theater.
Oh, that's cool.
It's very cool.
And I know that's what Tarantino wants to do with the Vista now.
I heard he just bought the Vista or is buying it.
I always thought he already owned it. That's what's so weird because he always did these events there and he put props in there.
Yeah, he always was. There were
so
events
weird.
there, but.
Yeah, apparently the manager is still going to be there. The man who always dressed up. I'm blanking on his name, but
that's what we do. We blank on names.
It's street trash.
Exactly.
Well, it's interesting how those kind of theaters are doing so well because at first around Regal and all this kind of stuff, it's just 9 theaters of a Marvel film and then a kids film, and then none of these other movies really have the opportunity to hit a screen.
Yeah.
So it's great that these are around.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that way about.
Hey.
Hi, Chad.
What's going on?
How are you, man?
I can't hear her.
Oh yeah. You got to share your headphones.
What's happening?
I'm just talking my bullshit. How are you?
Yeah, I still talk my bullshit too, so it all works. God, it's been a long time since we talked.
I know. This will just turn into like our conversation of.
Yeah, who are these other guys?
That's Chad, by the way, everybody.
Yes.
Are you guys officially in the interview right now?
Oh yeah.
Oh, hi everybody.
Hello, world.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Bye, Caryn.
No. Okay. Bye, Chad.
I'll have to come back later.
Since
Yeah.
he's why we all know each other.
Yes.
That was there. Everybody knows. There
I
he
was hoping
is.
he'd pop in.
The man of the hour. Okay, so Nighthawk. So you started, which I'm so envious of you doing this job, because I would love to do something like that. It'd be so cool. I'm like, please hire me at the Cinerama Dome ArcLight and let me program and do stuff. So tell us how that evolved.
I mean, I just started doing artist film programming in their lobby, which now just seems like a crazy thing to do. And, it was just, they were growing, I was growing. And, it was one of those things where, for all the problems, like wherever you work, I was given carte blanche to do whatever I really wanted, as long as it was successful.
A lot of pressure.
Until the moment it is not successful.
Until the moment.
Do whatever you want until it doesn't work.
But like, the Death Dreams screening on 35mm, that was the first time we ever did like an evening event with an person introducing it and something on film, and it did really well. And so that kind of goes, oh, well, there's like, an audience for this. And then, so I actually just left. I don't say I left because I was furloughed for a year, but I decided not to return to Nighthawk to focus on Future of Film as Female full time. But I took this poster that's behind me, which is why it's just propped up. But it's Cheryl Dunn's documentary, Everybody Street. And that was the first thing I did there, which like did very, very well. And it would we did like a screening and it sold out. We did another screening, it sold out. And then we added like all these screenings that kept selling out. So it's a super special film for me. I mean, it's a New York street photography documentary. So it's like in, Ricky Powell's in it when he was alive, and Jill Friedman. And it was really amazing.
That's really cool.
But yeah, it's just like, hey, there's this doc, we should show it. Can you hear it?
More ripping sounds.
Hold on, I'm sorry.
It's like a little dog horror movie.
No, go for it.
I think it's funny. It's so funny. That's what makes it real. People are gonna want to see this dog after all this.
I know. We're gonna have to see.
We have to see the dog.
We have to see.
Bring
this
the
is like so much
dog.
suspense.
Oh, there she is.
Aw.
We have to see.
Little
Oh my God, the ears.
Dad.
Yeah, she's a little Yoda.
Little evil Yoda. That's so cute.
Darth Yoda.
Let us tear this up.
All right.
That's really cute.
Here we are.
Did you program dog films while you were at the?
No, but I would have loved to. I do have a picture of one of my older dogs in there, sitting down, looking like he's watching a movie.
Oh, which one?
Lebowski.
Oh, Lebowski was so good.
Oh yeah, I remember Lebowski.
Mini pins.
Little leads. Yeah, sorry. I think my dog will be okay now. So I apologize for that. You said it was
Love
casual,
dog.
so here we are.
No, we love dog interruptions.
I feel like I always have cat interrupt. Like I'm always talking to people who have cats, and no one has a dog. So
and they jump on the tables and their tails and. Okay, so you're the Nighthawk, and you did these very successful evenings. And then, how did you come up with the idea for the Future of Film as Female?
Well, in 2013, I decided to do a short film festival at Nighthawk. I was like, "Hey, this is what we should do," and my boss was like, "Great, you do it."
Go ahead.
And so we started a short film festival, and it's pretty simple, films under 20 minutes made in the past 1 to 2 years. And it started off like 3 days, and then the next year it was 4 days or 5 days. Oh my God, she's such an asshole. This is what happens. So my husband and my son are selling comics on the street, and so I have to
Comics on the street.
So I have to babysit.
Oh, it's okay.
Little muffin.
Love it.
And so anyway, from the very beginning, I don't know, like there are those things that happen to you in your life, which are super, super special. And, we did it every year until 2020 when we couldn't. And those relationships with those filmmakers have been sort of like the foundation of all of my programming and what I wanted to do and how much I loved my work. And so after the 2016 election, which, you know, I opened that year's Shorts Festival the day after the election. And that was rough. But it was also like a huge community building experience. Like people came and they were very upset when they came. But like we felt somewhat better afterwards because we kind of came together in community. Yeah. And I thought for a long time after it, you know, like, well, what can I do to help? Like, I don't make films, you know, what is it that my role does that can help whatever this is? And what, you know, and then I realized that being a film programmer is a super privileged position because I'm able to like actually represent voices on screen, be seen. And that's sort of like the final step for all of this. And so 2 years after that, I was like, oh, I'm going to start this organization, The Future of Film is Female, you know, based off the 70s lesbian bookstore, Future is Female. And mainly because the person who won our Shorts Festival the first year had been she was Eleanor Wilson, and she had been sort of this thread throughout my whole career here. And I was like, I want to start this short film fund. And so I made a t-shirt and on custom ink and started a fundraiser. And I was like, all of these proceeds will go towards a woman director making a short film at any stage of production. So it could cover post, pre, lunches, during. And that's how it started. And then about a month after it started, I had a drink with Rajendra Roy, who's the chief curator of film at MoMA. I'd worked with, before, and he was like, I want you to do something with us, and it can be whatever you want. And I was like, well, that's a scary proposition. Okay.
Great.
But I was like, well, I started this organization, The Future of Film is Female. Like, what if we did something with that? And so I kind of submitted my proposal to have feature films and short films paired together. And he was like, I think this is great. I don't think this should be one screening. I think it should be multiple kind of ongoing investigations of where the industry is at. And so obviously that just sort of elevated us onto a platform that it's very legitimizing, whatever it is. Like when you say this is my organization, and that was in 2018 in February. And so since then, we've become probably more of an exhibition and program related organization than a grant funding organization, even though we do 3 cycles a year and have like 36 funded projects at this point. So we have great partnerships with post-production houses who Herd City and Nice Shoes, who offer, incredibly invaluable post color and sound services to filmmakers that we select. And so, and then those filmmakers, for better or worse, they become part of our family. And I work my hardest to help them in any way that I can. And that includes showing their work or promoting their work. And so it just kind of becomes this thing. One of our board members was like, a lot of organizations focused on getting a film made. And then they kind of are just like, like especially with short films, which has a whole strange sort of life cycle. And one of our board members, Julie, says like, we're the now what, we'll help you with the now what. That's funny. So that's how it started. And then now we're kind of going into a next phase as I'm no longer with Nighthawk and working on this full time. It's working on foundational giving and corporate giving and asking for money and not wanting to live on this cardboard box in the street. Those things. But I feel like I did, when I was young and dumb and had my art gallery in Los Angeles, like this, I feel like I'm a lot smarter than I was then. But I also feel like that feeling, that DIY feeling is so great.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that's cool because it seems like there's sort of a place for something like that just wasn't happening. I mean, there was some here and there, there's some, supportive, especially for female or minority filmmakers. But I think it's amazing that you're so laser focused and that how you evolved into less about the filmmaking, more about the promotional aspect. Because you're right. I mean, who does this? I mean, people, and Mark made a short film, so he knows like once your film is made, like it's sort of like, well, it's not a feature film, so where does it go? What do we do with this thing? It's a short film. And even with streaming, it gets kind of difficult to find out like where to go with it. So I'm very impressed by this. I'm blown away. I would love to be involved in something like that. It's just a great.
Well, come on, there's a lot of work. Come on.
I'm not good at asking for money. I'll just say that.
I know it's
a lot of it is fundraising, I'm sure.
I mean, it's funny. I find it. I mean, it's like to use my husband's phrase, it's like an honest transaction, right? And so it's like easier than trying to sell somebody something. You're like, don't you want to like make the change you want to see in the world?
That's right. Hey, don't you want more female, makers out there? Female, just come on, help us out.
Help us out. Let's do it.
Help us out.
You
say you do.
Well, that's the thing, right?
Exactly. Oh my God.
I'm gonna kill this dog.
Does she help you? Is a she, right?
It's a she, yeah.
Is she helping you raise funds?
You know what? She probably could. She's so darn cute.
If someone's kind of like hedging, you're like, oh wait, have you seen my dog? It's like, here, where do I put my money?
Have you seen my Yoda dog? There she is.
Oh my God, let's give her more money right now.
Otherwise, she's going to come to your home and tear open every box. Let her
take your wallet.
So what sort of filmmakers have you been interacting with? Anyone that you want to promote while you were here?
My gosh. Well, like, it's so amazing because like yesterday, one of our filmmakers, Karina Dandashi, she announced that she was selected for the Sundance Ignite Adobe Fellowship.
Oh, cool.
And, you're just like, it's amazing because it's someone that I've worked with for a long time. And then one of our new filmmakers, Natalie Harris, she just got an SF film grant for her new short film. And so that's like it's just super exciting,
Really?
when you're like, seeing your filmmakers do really well. One of our filmmakers, Crystal Kaiza, is shooting her short film Rest Stop that she got the Chanel Through Her Lens grant award for, which is like it's incredible. It's like 80 grand. And you're
Crazy.
Like, yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. So what's the long-term goal? Do you have like a goal for your organization that you're working toward, or are you just doing it day by day, seeing how it goes?
Well, the long-term goal is change the world takeover. Finally. I mean, it's funny because like in all seriousness, it's like we really want our impact. It's not going to be fast. It's not one of those things where like all of a sudden, yes, parity exists. We're done now.
Yeah. We've done our work. Bye.
I mean, I'm going to digress for a second. There's a really great doc that's out right now called Ahead of the Curve. And it's about Frankie, the woman who started Deneuve magazine, which was the first lesbian magazine in the 80s. And in the 90s, they then called it Curve because Catherine Deneuve got upset about it. But she hadn't been involved in the magazine for a while, and it was in threat of closing down. And so the documentary kind of follows her looking at her history, but then also talking to women in the LGBTQI movement. And and so you realize that these searches for change and social impact, they don't get solved. They just kind of morph into the next phase of the problem you have to solve, and it's intergenerational. Right. But it was just this willingness to kind of go, okay, well, this is where the landscape is now, and so if we did a pivot with this is how we could better reach the people who maybe won't pick up a magazine now, but blah blah blah. But and sort of, I guess I can see that's what the work is, because I'm sure some people can say, oh, well, Nomadland won the Oscar. That's great. And, the Palme d'Or was just won by a woman. That's great. But it's really a matter of how many distributors are picking up films made by women proportionally to men, and how are they doing in the theaters? And I feel like it's getting a little bit better, but there's still so much work to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot. Still think there's a little bit that of attitude that they don't think women who direct films can carry like an action film, or that they, even though with Wonder Woman, I think there's still that stigma of like, well, we have this property, who should we give it to? and you'll probably see a long list of men's names and then maybe a woman here and there. And you'll be like,
Yeah.
women can do it. Women can bring it. I mean, we've seen some incredible films from female filmmakers. It bothers me that they think somehow a female director would somehow soften it, or they wouldn't know how to do action. It's like, if anything,
Or
I think it
horror,
was
you know,
actually
like
in an
horror
interview
movies.
that
Horror,
you,
yeah.
horror especially. In fact, let's get to that, because
Yes.
you interviewed some great horror film directors that were female, and there was a really cool comment. I'm gonna paraphrase it, but it was basically like, women know horror because we live in fear our whole lives.
Yeah.
I mean, we're basically raised in fear. Like, be careful of this. Don't do that. Don't walk down the street alone. Who
Yeah.
knows more about fear than
I
women?
know.
Seriously.
It's like we live our lives in fear and we give birth. It's like those are two of the most like,
Horrific things.
horrific things. Yeah.
And you see that in the films that like the genre films that women direct. Like, we just recently did an episode about the movie Saint Maud.
Oh,
That
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
it's
So
so
beautiful.
good,
Yeah.
and it comes from a different place than it would have
Yes.
if a man had directed, I think.
Yes.
And it's
Very true.
It's
Yeah.
and it's not there. You know, there's nothing held back or anything. It's
No.
not like a wimpy girl movie. You know, it's like full on.
Wimpy girl movie.
You know what I mean? It's like nobody needed to fear that she wasn't going to deliver a potent, horrifying
Right.
film that also had a lot of depth to it and a lot of other, you know, a lot of other elements, you know,
Yeah.
artistic and otherwise. But
And
How about that
last
ending?
shot. Oh, I was just gonna say, holy moly, that was
That
a-
ending was
well,
spectacular.
incredible.
oh,
great
my
ending.
God.
like a half a second ending that was
Yeah.
just
Oh my God.
huge.
That's what was so smart about it, is they
Yeah.
didn't overplay that moment.
Right.
Like, they just went boop out, and you were like,
Yep, gone.
what?
Think about it now.
There's a moment, I don't know if you all were able to watch Censor, but there's a moment kind of at the end of it like that. I don't want to say anything if you haven't
Oh,
watched
we
it.
haven't seen it. We talked about the trailer.
yeah, we did
want
the
to see
trailer.
that film.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to
haven't seen
definitely
the movie
watch
yet.
that.
Yeah,
because it
that's on the
definitely
list.
has like that vibe of blurring the lines between what's the reality here,
Yeah.
but it doesn't
Mhm.
really matter because whatever you're watching is her reality, whether
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
The unreliable narrator.
yeah. But God, Saint Maud is so amazing. Well, Saint Maud and Sound of Metal were my two favorite movies of last year. So incredible. But yeah, Saint Maud, I was just like, I mean, it's kind of everything I want in a movie.
Yeah,
But
it's got it.
And I even I like the characters that, even, you know, both characters I thought were super interesting. Even the
Yeah.
woman she was taking care of ended up being this really compelling character. Like, I
Yeah.
loved her
Yes.
history. I
Yes.
loved like how modern she was, even though she was like this older woman who was really sick. Like, in my head, I was imagining this, oh, it's gonna be super depressing, this old lady in a bed, and it's gonna be great. But it was totally like, no, it was just like she was very vibrant, even though she was sick. I mean, I loved that. I
She
thought that was
wasn't
really
like
cool.
this binary character where she was either this or
Yeah.
that. She was multiple
victim or
things,
something.
and
Right.
and you also don't. I mean, I don't mind characters in movies that I don't know whether or not I like them. I don't have to like them for them to be interesting, or, you know, like them as a person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes filmmakers are eager to make you like the
Yeah.
person,
Yeah.
and like them. You know, and
Mhm.
in a case like this, it was like, here's a different perspective. There's a different way of portraying the stereotype. I mean, not stereotype, but the tropes that you have to put in a film. You have to have this person, you have to have that person, you have to have the other person. Mix that shit up and do something different with it.
I mean, it made a film that was all the main characters were women. You just don't
Yeah.
see that. Like,
Right.
you
true.
watch it and you're like, oh wait, there was hardly any men in this movie. It was like so shocking. So what are some of your favorite female directors that you've been
I mean,
discovering?
well, you know, I think Caryn Kusama is like
She's
queen.
great. She's great.
Yeah,
It's sort of
definitely
like,
spectacular.
I'm on
You
a
did the
huge
invitation, right?
Yeah, we
She
love the
did-
invitation. Yeah, and
Jennifer's
And
Body.
Jennifer's
Yeah.
Body. That's right.
I mean, I love Girl Fight. I think the beginning of Girl Fight is like one of the best opening sounds, visuals. I love it so much. And Caryn and her husband Phil Hay are like two of the nicest people in the whole world, and so then you just love them even more because you're
Yeah.
like, you're just fucking fabulous, and you know, so generous. And yeah, I've also been on like a big and she's sort of the mascot for Future of Film as Females, Delphine Seerig.
Okay.
And like I'm like most people, I knew her in like the Boonwell films. But there's this great doc that came out in 2019 called Delphine and Carol. And it's about Delphine Seyrig, who I think everybody thinks of as an actress. She's in Daughters of Darkness. She's the she's the blonde, fabulous lady in Daughters of Darkness. I'll bring it back to what we know. And Carol,
don't get too out there.
They're like, yes. Anyway, they made these incredibly provocative and radical feminist films in the late 60s, early 70s. Like this great doc called Be Pretty and Shut Up, where they interviewed these actresses from around the world and they talked about their experiences, like everyone from like Jane Fonda. And, you see that not much has changed.
And not changed. Changed and not changed.
Changed and not changed. Yeah. But yeah, so those are kind of like my two right now. I'm trying to think of what else. It's now I feel like on the spot.
Oh no, we're putting you on the spot.
But I know. I mean, Caryn always comes to mind because I just think, her films are so her, even though they're all so different. There's something when you're like a good filmmaker, there's like there's a quality to it, even though they don't always look like each other. And I always feel like that's like the sign of a good filmmaker. And I'm just like, oh, here's another one of these, And if you like it, that's great. But they have like a touch to something that kind of becomes really special. I feel the same way about Josephine Decker, who did Madeline's Madeline and Shirley Jackson.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Yeah, she's they're all of her films have a lot of like physicality and like kind of choreography in them. And I think they're so great. Yeah,
that is great. Did you watch the Fear Street?
I haven't. It is on. What recommend?
Definitely recommend.
Yeah,
I like it. It's 3 films, all directed by a woman. Janet, what's her name?
Lee Janiak.
Lee Janiak. Yeah. I think it was really
Honeymoon.
You think we all, I mean, I love slasher films. We don't all love slasher. I love slasher films. And we kind of grew up on them. It's interesting to see a female sort of take on the tropes of a slasher film and then infuse the film with very 3-dimensional female characters and not just final girl shit, but like full on like, good representation of like a really diverse cast. They have like just sort of, there's a sort of mentality on how it's presented and they're not holding back. Like this is another one of those classic, like, well, how a woman doing slasher, she's going to be preachy or she's going to be like, whatever. No, they went for it. They had, great slasher things. It wasn't like they were avoiding the whole genre, but they gave it this great slant through the female perspective. And I thought that was really interesting. And, she made 3 films from 3 different time frames, which I thought was a cool idea. Kind of bringing back the history of like the mythology of why, the slasher was happening now and what was going on and how it all centers basically on a witch, a woman back in the past who was considered a witch. You'll have to watch it. I'm interested in hearing what you say.
That sounds good. There's so many great new things coming out. Like I don't know if you all subscribe to Shudder, but there's always
of course
treasures on there.
So many.
Have
I
you
just watched The Amulet?
Oh, Amulet's very good.
Very strange.
It's very strange.
I really liked it.
Childbirth.
Always. There's always that.
I did a talk with Romola for that film. And,
nice.
We talked a lot about motherhood, and that, how it means something more when it's depicted and comes from the perspective of a woman, I mean, after I had my son, which was a while ago, 6.5 years ago, but I remember like I couldn't watch horror movies. Like I had a really difficult time with it and slowly got back into it. But I remember, so we used to do this thing at Nighthawk called A Night to Dismember, and it was an all night Halloween movie marathon. And we did it with my friend, colleague, Chris and Sam Zimmerman, who is at Shudder. And so we'd sleep in a movie theater all night and watch like 5 movies and then short films. And then we'd have like slapping contests and whatnot. Oh my God, why did I start talking about this? What was
how you couldn't watch horror films?
Sorry. Oh my God.
Well, you got a dog. You got we're asking you these questions and putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
Who directed this?
It's okay. Everybody gets nervous when they do the Cinemondo podcast.
I saw Chad, and I'm all like, I don't know what's
All
happening.
discombobulated.
Oh my god. No, but I remember like seeing a movie, and I was like, oh, I see this like totally different now, like from a mom's perspective.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, like, and I mean, I think that moms in horror are like as big as houses in horror. And they're often like tied in together with like the domestic, and it's so interesting. But yeah, like Amulet was very, very interesting. And, you know, it's Romola's first film because she's an actress, and that was wild. Have you guys watched the George Romero amusement park?
I watched the first half.
Yeah.
I still have to go back and watch
Yeah,
it. It's so sad and funny at the same time. I was kind of like very uncomfortable watching it.
It's it's really sad. And
Why is it sad? I don't know anything about it.
Well, it was a paid for piece by a church, kind of addressing the way that like older people are treated in society and disposable. And so in a very like Romero kind of way, you know, it's like a social commentary about this. And it's this man who very much looks like the character in Martin, the older man.
Totally.
And he's in an amusement park, and you sort of see him being treated poorly and discarded, and you know, he has to pay more for things, or he doesn't get the same kind of service, and it's not what I was expecting, but I was just like, I feel like it's essential. It's like, man, Romero was incredible.
I think it's so funny. It's like, we need to make this film about old people being disposable. Let's get Romero.
Yeah.
That's this guy. It's like, okay. Because it's sort of zombie-esque when you think about it. You know, everybody's just like it was, I need to finish it. Because it was just like, oh my God, this is just so sad. Because it's all very true. Like just the dismissal, like, you know, how we're so youth-oriented and just the way you have to navigate an amusement park, like whether it's stairs or, you know, the whole thing was like, just, gives me chills.
Well, Romero as a filmmaker was very much like a documentary style.
Yes.
Like, you know, I mean, so it seemed very real. Night of the Living Dead feels like it happened. It's happening to you. You know, like it really happened. So
like somebody just happened to be there with a camera, and he's also made a lot of films that had nothing to do with zombies that are actually really good. You know, people forget about his non-zombie films.
Night Riders.
Yeah, I mean, even up to Monkey Shines was pretty cool.
Right, Monkey Shine. Oh my God! No, I watch Shudder at least once or twice a week. At least I always check it on Mondays and see what the new stuff is. And anytime it says Shudder exclusive, I'm watching it. Yeah. I'm a total. And we've had people make fun of us because I feel like I'm such a Shudder shill because all I do is talk about Shudder on here, and it's like, are they paying you? It's like they fucking should. But no, they don't. But I've been a member of Shudder since it started. I love it.
Yeah, one of my very dearest friends, Sam, works there, but like it's just so well put together. You know,
another envious job that I want.
Yeah,
that's very that's what I like about it, because you know there were other kind of horror channels that, you know, I tried out, and they seem like they're just getting the lowest, cheapest, dumbest stuff. Yeah. The thing I liked about Shudder, here we are, it's very curated. You feel like the people believe in the films, and sometimes they're not even pure horror. They're like almost more relationship with a subtext of creepiness, you know, and you'll see the review going, this wasn't horror. And I'm like, well, I'm watching this for sure because, you know, it's usually good.
We like to call that horror adjacent.
Yes.
Genre fluid. We talk about that a lot in our conversations, because people will be like, I don't really see this as being horror, but it is. It is horror adjacent. It's not what we call like horror adjacent or genre fluid, because it's
love it.
I mean, it's better than like elevated horror, which I hate that term. I don't think that exists. And then art house horror, it's like, no, it's good.
It's good or bad.
One of the films that I love on Shudder right now is oh my gosh, what is it? Spanx? It's not Spanx. The pants movie. The pants
thing. What was it called? I watched that. That was amazing.
It was. I thought it was just going to be like super silly, and then I was like, oh, this is.
It's one of those, like, you know, I start watching a lot of horror movies and I'm kind of like, okay, whatever. I'm not expecting anything. Whatever.
Yeah.
So then when all of a sudden I'm watching that and I'm like, it's like pants or whatever it's called. Slacks.
Slacks.
S-L-A-X.
I was like, Spanx.
I know Chloe had an X in it. But I'm watching it going, and also I went, oh, wait a minute. What's going on in here? And I like perk up going, wait, they're doing something. Something is going on. This is better than I thought. I love that feeling because most of the time I go into a horror movie, it's about what you expect. Flat line. It's fine. It's whatever. But this was actually a lot really well made. Again, a really cool, diverse cast and great kills.
Hey, great kills. Killed by pants.
Killed by pants.
They talk about like outsourced labor and
I love that.
and like the commentary on all the sort of like, green companies like Everlane and whatever. It's like, it's all about capitalism. That's all it is.
So funny. Just how disposable fashion is. It's like everybody wants the perfect pair of pants. Here they are, and they'll kill you, but it's worth it.
Your ass is gonna look great.
Exactly. Oh, my ass looks great. I can die. I don't care.
Wow, interesting. I'm gonna have to check that one out.
I know, it's so fun.
It's good. Yeah. I recommend it to my friend, and she was like, my girlfriend and I laugh at every time we see this. And she was like, do I really need to watch this? And I was like, I think so.
Yes, you need to watch this.
I think
It's very
so. Yeah.
One thing that we always ask people that is, it's like, I don't know, like the inside the actor's studio, what is your favorite curse word? It's like, what are the movies that,
Definitely.
what are the movies that got you interested in movies?
Okay, so this would go back to my childhood, which is very interesting because I'm trying to figure out when I can show some of these movies to my son because I watched these movies. Anyway, the most formative movies for me when I was a kid, The Last Unicorn, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Return to Oz, and Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh,
very
So, like,
fantastical
those-
films.
But
very
like
fantasy.
those, but they're messed up. Like Return
Yeah.
to Oz is a messed
They're
up
edgy
film.
for sure.
Yeah.
The woman has a room of like heads that she's collected, and she has no head, and it's really like a lot.
And it's got Piper Laurie in it, for Christ's sake. That's that's going to traumatize children. It's like the scene where she's like, his leg is fine, it's mended. It's like he's lying about being lame.
Oh gosh.
They were like going to give Dorothy electroshock therapy.
Yeah.
That's dark shit.
But it's
when
very close to the book.
But like my mom, like, well, she wouldn't let me watch like MTV. She wouldn't let me do all this stuff. But like this stuff, go.
But they're made for kids.
They're made for kids. Like Willy Wonka is very dark.
It is very dark.
But
it's also very sophisticated.
Yes.
That's the thing that they used to do in films for kids back then. There was a level of, if you got it, you got. I guess they were hoping, we're going to put some sophistication in here, a little bit of darkness, a little edgy.
Yeah.
But it's done in a way that kids might miss it. If you're not, advanced or sophisticated enough, they were thinking it might get past you. But what they didn't realize was, even though you don't get it, it still sort of nags at your mind. It haunts you until you get older.
Yeah, because I'd be like, oh, these movies are so great. They're so much fun. I'm like, oh, I think this is like the nugget, the seed that grew into my interest in really strange things.
Yeah.
And of course, I like movies that are not horror related or things like that either. But I think those are like my formative movies.
Yeah,
and I still love them. I mean, Pee-wee's Big Adventure and
so good.
Jaws are still in my top 5.
I can watch those over and over.
What film would you want to show your son first as a test?
Well, we've watched Willy Wonka.
And what do you think of that?
He liked it. We read the book.
Okay.
And he's like, I like books because there's so many different like ways you can go with the story and it just lasts longer.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, but the movie's still great, right?
It didn't have Gene Wilder in the book, so no.
Nothing.
Very close. You get nothing.
That's perfect casting.
Good day, sir.
Good day, sir.
Oh my god.
I need that as a little clip. We have these little clips that we show once in a while, like this one.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Is it there? Did it show up?
Yes.
No one said anything.
And we're all muted. We're like, oh, we'll be really quiet.
That is my favorite. Rosemary's Baby is my favorite.
I
It's the
think
best.
Favorite.
I think
movie.
we've talked about that. Didn't we talk about that movie? That
I
one
mean,
just
we have, yes.
stays with me.
Because I
forever,
think
too.
you burned me the soundtrack of that movie
okay.
ages and ages ago.
I
My
was trying to
favorite.
find the amulet too, the Tanis anyone amulet.
Yes.
I've searched for that. I think I found something close to it when I was a prop guy. I was all into props,
Yeah. My favorite
am.
line, one of my favorite quotes in that movie. Well, first when he says, "I tried to tell my wife, but she poo-pooed me."
Yeah.
I love that. But I also love when Rosemary's like, "You're in Dubrovnik, I can't hear you," and
Yeah.
I will say that to people, like, "Leave me alone," and they're like, "I have no idea what that means."
It's like, okay.
You're in Dubrovnik, I can't hear you.
So many great little bits of dialogue in that film.
Oh, it's
Oh my
an
God.
amazing movie.
They're not the easy ones like Jaws, which is probably my favorite movie where you say stuff, need a bigger boat, or, there's
Yeah.
all these ones that everyone knows, but the Rosemary Baby ones are a little more scary.
And another film I think you like is
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
right.
I love it so much.
So good.
I do.
I love Jeff Bridges.
I love Jeff Bridges too. When
so good.
like Tron 2, I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Oh,
one.
yes.
He's basically doing the dude, but like
Yes.
more
Yeah.
zen.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
No, obviously I had a dog named Lebowski.
Yes.
And then I had a dog named Quint for Jaws.
Oh,
And then my son's middle name is Vincent for Vincent Price. So
Oh, that's
Oh.
excellent. I didn't realize his middle name was Vincent. That's really funny.
yes. And he knows it's for Vincent Price too.
oh man, that's great.
Yeah.
That's
And
so
what's your
cute.
what's your current dog's name?
My current dog's name is Zucchini.
Oh, right.
And who named that dog?
Your favorite
My-
vegetable.
My son.
Definitely. It's definitely a kid name. A kid name's always like,
I was like,
is it like, what was it? The ears or?
I thought we could name it. Well, I thought if we got a dog, we could name it Mario because I wanted to name it after Mario Bava, and then it would be like Super Mario because my son loves Super Mario. We could just kind of lie about it,
Right.
but no, Zucchini. It
Zucchini.
fits.
It's very cute.
It fits.
That's
for
very
And
sure.
I love your T-shirt too, by the way, Karen.
Oh,
Oh, I know. I was
thank
about to
you.
ask
I
you
got it
about
on
where
the
you got
sleeve.
that.
There was
Oh,
this
so
great t-shirt company called Tees on Scene. Get it? Mise en scene. And they did great t-shirts. So it's like I got this, a Jane Fonda, Barbara Loden, costumes by Ruth Carter shirt, and then my Daria Nicolodi shirt.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
Another
really cool.
queen, another horror
Yes.
queen.
Queen. She's the queen. Oh, well, this was super fun, and I think it would be really cool that if we watch some cool movies, we should just have you on as a guest to just do a movie review. I think that would be super fun.
I would love that, and I will not have my dog.
I want the dog in there.
Oh my god,
Dogs are essential. Well, mine's snoring over here, and I'm hoping it's not picking up on the mic.
No, your dog seems like an angel. My dog is chewing a Swiffer right now, so I'm just letting her go.
I'm happy. But this was
Love the
amazing, and
flavor of
I
dust.
want to definitely follow the Futurist Female progress and see where it
Yes.
goes, and
Thank you.
and just let us know any films if you want us to talk about them. I would love to talk about some of these films you guys are making
Yeah.
and doing and promoting.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys want to talk about Candyman after it comes out. In a few
Hell
weeks.
yes.
We've
Yeah,
been waiting for that
let's
one
do
for a
that.
while.
Let's plan something like that. Let's all
Yeah.
watch it, and then we'll do an episode about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. That would
Yeah.
be super fun.
Yeah,
So great seeing you again. It
so
was
good to see you
fun.
both too. Well, we should just have like a
Just a thing.
Yeah, it's just a thing.
It's a thing. It would be so fun. Next time you're in LA, which I'm sure you will be with all this film stuff,
Yeah.
we'll do
Love
another
to.
episode in the same room. That would be fun.
Yes,
And just
yes.
hang out. Great.
Right.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Thanks,
And
Karen.
Thank
don't
you.
when we say goodbye, do not leave. We're gonna go behind the scenes.
Yeah, there's
no
a-
one else can hear
A
us.
little outro that comes through.
Ooh.
Okay, here we go. Bye,
So
everyone.
thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.